I grew up with, this much confidence. Being able to go to the thrift store was like my home away from home. Started to make me feel, like thrifting was a superpower. I just want younger versions of me to see that. I have depression, but it's okay. You can still be happy and have fun with clothes. I would have died when I was growing up to go through a magazine and it'd be oh, this was thrifted, oh, she thrifts that. I think people don't really think of those barriers that there are to get into fashion and how secondhand can really break that for some people.
Okay, I'm standing outside of a bookstore in New York City. My book just came out today, Second Chances, The Ultimate Guide to Thrifting. So we're gonna go inside. I'm with my mom and my sister, and we're gonna go see if they have it on the shelf. Oh, I'm so nervous.
I think if we just start, no one will come over here. Yeah. I think if I'm talking to you, no one will talk to me. So let's start.
You ready?
Mm-hmm. Hello. I'm Macy, also known in some spaces as Blazed and Glazed.
How did you first discover your passion for thrifting? And what role did it play during your childhood in Dayton, Ohio?
Yeah, so I feel like I've always been thrifting, but when I was 15 years old, I got really into fashion. And I was I live in Dayton, Ohio. There's absolutely no fashion happening here. Honestly, I just felt very out of place there growing up. I couldn't afford the stuff at the mall that all the girls at my school were going to buy. And so I would go to Salvation Army. I bought all my clothes there. It was a serious, safe space for me. I didn't have always the best home life, and being able to go to the thrift store was my home away from home.
What were some of the biggest challenges you faced while growing up, and how did fashion help you express yourself during those times?
I grew up with a very narcissistic, abusive father, and he definitely made me feel about this big growing up. And I think a lot of that played into my own self-confidence. I was the most negative person in the world for so long. I grew up with, this much confidence. And the thrift store and being able to play around with clothes and having people start to really get into what I was wearing and knowing that it was, something I could afford for a couple dollars started to make me feel, thrifting was a superpower. It was just one of the first super positive spaces that I feel I was in growing up. Something about the mall felt a little bit toxic to me. I don't know, the same self-expression wasn't there, and it didn't light me up on the inside as much.
You've coined the title fairy godmother of the online thrift. How did this persona come out, and what does it mean to you?
I was the only one that thrifted. As my friends were starting to catch on to it, I was I can find the cute clothes for everybody. I can find the cute stuff, very fairy godmother vibes. I'm gonna find the cute stuff, I'm gonna sprinkle it upon you. So I love that I've been able to build this platform online where reselling isn't my bread and butter of my business. So I'm able to thrift clothing, have a moment with them, and then pass them on. Then that feels really magical to me. It feels I kind of get to give them the fairy godmother treatment that I, was kind of craving myself when I was younger.
In your book, Second Chances, you cover various tips on repairing and tailoring clothes. What is the most rewarding part of giving garments a second or third life?
There's something that, really fills my cup up about being able to give clothing a second chance, because I feel secondhand clothing kind of gave me that second chance to kind of become a more positive person. Like I said, I grew up really negative. I was kind of one of those people that thought, woe is me, because of all the things I've been through, I can't be a happy person, or I'm not meant to have a happy life, or I'm not meant to be positive. And I would see positive people and be cool for you, not for me. And I feel secondhand clothing was able to do that for me.
Your content has been featured in major publications like Vogue, Business, and InStyle. How do you feel about mainstream recognition for your work, and how does it affect your creative process?
I started my TikTok in 2020, and it was crazy because then just a couple months after starting it, I was profiled in Nylon, which was literally one of the magazines I plastered all over my walls when I was a teenager and would thrift the outfits, recreate the outfits from. And so it's honestly really cool to just see everyone waking up to what all of us have already been knowing for so long. I just want younger versions of me to see that. I would have died when I was growing up to go through a magazine and it'd be oh, this was thrifted, oh, she thrifts that. I don't know, anytime I'm also being interviewed for anything about fashion, bring it back to a lot of it does stream from me, how it's helped my mental health and stuff, and that's super important to me. Growing up, if I would have read someone that I looked up to in any way being hey, I have depression, but it's okay, you can still be happy and have fun with clothes.
What do you see as the biggest misconceptions about secondhand fashion, and how do you work to break those down?
A misconception is that like resellers are evil. I'm not a like full-time reseller. It's not like my bread and butter, but all of my best friends are. Honestly, see them as people that truly helping save the planet and the fashion industry. I think it's also opened up and made fashion more accessible to people. You know, girls that can't afford to like go to fashion school or get fashion internships like I couldn't are able to start clothing brands and like curate basically collections from the Goodwill bins. And I don't think there's anything fucking cooler than that. That is so cool, and it's breaking down this barrier of getting into fashion that's been held up for so long. It's not like just super rich people doing it. It's mostly low income people, disabled people. A lot of my followers, they're able to do it, saving clothing that would go to the landfill. I think people don't really think of those barriers that there are to get into fashion and how secondhand can really break that for some people.
How do you envision the future of sustainable fashion, and what role do you think influencers like yourself play in that future?
First of all, I think influencers that talk about secondhand the way that I do are just helping to, make it more of just the norm, because I think a lot of us that like really live in this thrift space and community, we think so many people are thrifting. Like, everyone's taking the good stuff, so many people are thrifting, but in reality, not enough people are thrifting. I'll be in like my own bubble and I'm like, okay, everyone's thrifting, and then I'll have a video go more viral than normal, and I'll start geting all the comments of, this is disgusting, what are you doing, ew, and I'm like, see guys, like not everyone's doing it, and we need to not discourage. So I think people talking about it in their videos and just making it and normalizing it more is just going to make it more, accessible for other people to just go and pick up a used top instead of buying it at the mall, which is great. Some designers are, trying to become more sustainable, but at the end of the day, if they're still producing mass amounts of garments 24/7, it doesn't really matter if they're doing it in like a little bit more of a green way. I just want to see everything being used that already exists, because there's just so much.
What advice would you give to someone new to thrifting who might feel overwhelmed in the process?
Well, first of all, if you're going into like the real thrift store, make a thrift manifest board, which I talk about in the book. Make a vision board and kind of like have on your mind what you're looking for. Snapping pictures of like the fast fashion brands that you like, or like celebrities that are wearing things you like. Collect them all onto your phone. Really like look at those before you go into the thrift store, and it'll help you focus in on where those pieces are. But also, if you're like super newbie, you just want to start being a little bit more sustainable with your wardrobe, the online thrift, Poshmark, eBay, whatnot, those places, type in the brands you already love wearing, the sizes you're already familiar with, the silhouettes you're already familiar with. If you want to keep buying Zara, keep buying Zara, but do it on Poshmark, and you'll be able to get them for cheaper. You won't be like contributing to more being made. I think the virtual thrift world's a really great place to start, because you can still find the brands you're used to, but do it in a more ethical way.